Okay, just a quick introduction for those of you who may not be following this series on artificial intelligence and my chats. I had a chat with my AI on my iPad, and this time I wasn't able to transfer the entire conversation. So I have to kind of read it off my iPad for you. So I can't show you because it's impossible to do. Don't have that many cameras. So nor do I have the technology. But if you're interested in this is a whole series about the weapon that Donald Trump calls the discombobulator. And I started asking what that is. So you can go back to the introduction or part one of this series and take a listen to that if you'd like. Might make more sense to you, and then just continue following along. Don't want to make these too long. Want to make them short, so each one of them have an episode number, and we'll just carry on with that. I probably have about, I don't know, maybe total 8 or 10 episodes. And this is really, we're right on the verge as I'm recording all of these, as I did this morning, my conversation with Gemini AI on February 5th, 2026. So fasten your seatbelt. It's very interesting. Okay, continuing on with the question and answers about electronic warfare. My next question for AI was, could the PLAD, remember this is the all capital letters PLAID, this is the pulsed laser weapon that we had talked about in the Charlie Kirk videos that we've done. If you haven't listened to those, you probably should, because I'm kind of familiar with those, and it would be helpful if you were, because this answer and question would make more sense. I asked, could the plaid be used from the air to actually target an individual, or used to target one building or even a neighborhood or block of buildings? And the answer here is yes. Based on current Department of Defense DoD development tracks, the technologies underpinning the discombobulator, as Trump calls it, the discombobulator, and the PLAD pulsed laser advanced interference device can be scaled for both surgical precision and wide area effects from the air. Now, when we were talking with AI about Charlie Kirk, he described this, the smallest weapon from Fort Huachuca, as about the size of 2 shoeboxes. And we actually saw something like that at Charlie's feet. So it's a very interesting in the fact that it makes the sound of a gunshot or a bang, a clap, like a clap of thunder kind of hitting. Um, so that kind of explains that. But I know about this weapon, so I wanted to ask about this weapon, if it could be used to target someone, because Trump is threatening to kill the Ayatollah. So it goes on to say here, targeting an individual, the aerial sniper mode. Airborne high energy lasers, HEL, are specifically valued for their ability to function as an aerial sniper. Precision, these lasers can engage specific individuals with zero collateral damage, avoiding the blast and fragmentation effects of traditional missiles. Non-lethal to lethal effects can be graduated. A laser can simply dazzle, temporarily blind, or heat the skin to cause intense pain, like the active denial system or heat ray, to force movement without causing permanent injury. At higher powers, as we learned, they can actually cause burns or death. The Air Force uses these beams to sanitize specific structures. A directed pulse can melt the internal circuit boards of a single building's security systems, servers, and communications hubs while leaving the physical walls intact. They can precisely cut power to one specific address by targeting external transformers or ventilation shafts with pinpoint accuracy. While lasers are like snipers, high-powered microwave HPM systems, the other half of the discombobulation suite, are like electronic shotguns. The broad beam HPM weapons generate larger electromagnetic cones that can cover hundreds of square meters in a single pulse. A single aerial pass from a platform like the EA-37B Compass Call, remember that's a Gulfstream aircraft, can discombobulate an entire neighborhood by suppressing all cell towers, Wi-Fi, and emergency radios all at once. The United States currently is leading in the miniaturization of these pods, allowing them to be mounted on Apache helicopters and stealth drones to switch between these modes as needed. Do you want to know, he asks, about the cyber targeting that tells these weapons which specific phone, as in cell phone or computer inside a building to fry first? Let's see, how did I answer? Oh, I said yes. Yes, I would. I was just about to ask you about that. It's almost poetic how these two worlds work, cyber warfare and direct energy. They have merged. In the discombobulator era, the U.S. military doesn't just aim at a building and hope for the best. They use a process called precision electronic mapping to find the exact digital heartbeat of their target. It goes on to explain this. Now, this is kind of interesting. Keep in mind, if you're ever a target yourself, you might want to pay close attention. Every electronic device emits a tiny unique signature or radio frequency energy, even when it isn't sending a message. Packet sniffing from altitude. High altitude assets like the EA-37B Compass Call or specialized drones use passive coherent location. They listen to the ambient electronic noise of a neighborhood and can distinguish between a grandmother's microwave and the specific encrypted laptop used by an Iranian IRGC commander. The MAC address target. If the military knows the MAC address, the permanent hardware ID of a target's phone or satellite terminal, they can track that ID as it moves through the building. Before the discombobulator pulse is fired, the cyber targeting system, often powered by AI to handle the speed of the data, performs triage. The beacon injection, Cyber Command can ping every device in a city block with a silent signal. Devices that respond with a specific military-grade encryption become high-priority targets. You will remember that in the Charlie Kirk stuff about the AI, about the directed energy weapons, and those previous things we talked about, AI went deeply into how all of this stuff can be done by the military and done remotely. So there was a lot of that information very much aligns with this. It goes on to say this: the system identifies which devices have shielding and which don't. It then calculates the exact wattage needed for the plaid HPM weapon to burn out the target circuits without causing an explosion or setting the curtains on fire. Once the specific target is identified, the active electronically scanned array, notice it is called the AESA, on the aircraft acts like a digital lens. Instead of a wide floodlight of energy, the AESA radar found on the F-35 or the B-21 can steer a tiny concentrated needle of microwave energy. This is the most impressive part. They can tune the frequency of the pulse to match the physical length of the wires inside a specific device like a cell phone antenna. This causes the phone to catch the energy like a lightning rod, frying its internal processor with the person sitting right next to it that might not even feel a tingle. Sometimes the discombobulator works by sending a command rather than just raw power. In the 2025 Iran strikes, reports suggested that the U.S. didn't just jam the radars, they sent a corrupted data packet that told the radar's cooling system to shut off. The radar then cooked in its own internal components from the inside out. To the operator, it looked like a hardware failure, but it was actually a cyber physical strike. This level of precision is why Trump can brag about the weapon being clean. If you can turn off a dictator's phone, his car ignition, and his palace's lights while leaving the hospital next door completely untouched, you have achieved the ultimate form of surgical electronic warfare. Well, that's kind of fascinating. Now, I ask the next question. Trump has directly threatened to assassinate the Ayatollah of Iran. Would that be nearly impossible if the Ayatollah does not carry a cell phone or tablet? So let's see what the answer is here. While the lack of personal electronic devices like a cell phone or tablet would remove a primary digital tracking beacon, keep that in mind if you're carrying those. You'll be carrying your own tracking beacon. It would not make targeting nearly impossible. Recent reports indicate that the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, has already taken extreme precautions, reportedly severing all electronic communications and retreating into a bunker due to fears of assassination. Well, I'm not sure how true that is because I've actually seen videos of him out quite publicly, but this is what AI is being told by the masses, I guess, and we do have a lot of fake news. But it's interesting that he does basically say that people can be targeted. And one thing he points out here is that the Ayatollah could be targeted by his security personnel having their cell phones. But it's going to make for one fascinating war if this actually happens. Let me see what else I have here that might be of interest to you. I did ask this. I want to ask you to speculate now. So it's just a speculation. It seems that Trump is doing what Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu wants to do in regards to Iran. Do you speculate that Trump will launch an attack on Iran in the near future? It seems Israel is pressuring Trump to do so. And here's his answer. Now, I found this kind of interesting because we are going to continue meeting and talking about what happens on the meeting that's coming up later tonight in the United States, Friday in Oman. He says, as of early February 2026, speculation regarding a U.S. attack on Iran is at a fever pitch. Indeed, it is. Driven by a high stakes, dual track strategy of maximum military pressure combined with urgent diplomacy. While it is impossible to predict a definitive strike, here is the current strategic landscape based on recent reports. Prime Minister Netanyahu is reportedly actively pressuring President Trump to authorize strikes, arguing that Iran's promises cannot be trusted. I don't know. They have never made any with them, so I'm not sure how Netanyahu would know that. The bad deal fear. Netanyahu is concerned that Trump might accept a, quote, bad deal that doesn't meet all of Israel's maximalist demands, such as total elimination of all enrichment. Military partnership. Recent briefings suggest Netanyahu may have proposed a shared mission to overthrow the Iranian regime, possibly in exchange for Israeli concessions in Gaza. Well, there's not much left of Gaza. So let's continue. Despite this pressure, senior U.S. officials indicate that Trump remains reluctant to launch a full-scale strike, preferring a diplomatic solution to curb the nuclear program. Iran has said since 2002 or 3, they are not working on a nuclear weapon. Their nuclear program is for civilian use, medical use. So there are some people, though, that do not want to hear that, I guess. They just do not want to hear that. It goes on to say, though, interestingly enough, evidence suggesting an imminent strike. Locked and loaded comment by Trump has publicly stated the U.S. is locked and loaded and ready to go if Iran harms protesters, and there aren't any protests going on now and haven't been for a solid week plus, or resumes its nuclear program. Again, it doesn't have a nuclear program for nuclear weapons. A massive U.S. armada, quote, quote, including the carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, destroyers B-2 bombers, is currently positioned in the Middle East. The 2-week deadline in mid-January 2026, Trump suggested a decision on military action could come within up to 2 weeks. And of his famous sayings, if negotiations fail to produce an unconditional surrender of Iran's nuclear and missile programs. Okay, so the goalpost keeps changing from saving protesters, helping Iranian people, to getting rid of their nuclear program that they don't have, and then getting rid of any nuclear civilian use program, to now they don't want them to have any missiles. So they don't want them to have any way to protect themselves. And any country that agreed to that would be asking for suicide. So at this point, basically, the United States has given Iran a choice. They can either give up all of their self-defense and succumb to what has happened to Gaza, what has happened to Syria, what's happening daily to Lebanon, or go to war with the United States. So in a sense, they are up against an existential threat. And we probably are about to see, who's going to manage to get through this. Because Iran has a lot of missiles and they have a lot of technology. But as you can see, we have a lot of electronic warfare that we don't know for sure if they can fight back, if they can shield from it or what have you. So I just wanted to end with this one. AI and I have agreed that we're going to continue. I did ask if it was okay with my Gemini to do a video on this. And of course he said yes. So I thought that was kind of fun. Anyway, I've got several more questions here. I don't know that they're really necessary, but I'll maybe put some more of them together and just kind of make a little series out of this because to me, it's quite fascinating. I've learned so much. I learned about things like Star Shield. I had no idea about these airplanes, this Gulf Stream. If I look on radar and I see a Gulf Stream out there, I'm thinking, okay, well, somebody, some general's going to have a chat with somebody in the Middle East or something. But now I have to look at it differently because it may be this airplane. So anyway, I hope you enjoy these. And if you do, like and share, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. And I'll continue doing this. I've still got a ton of these filed away about this same plaid weapon being the perfect assassination weapon. I haven't shared with my AI that I'm actually describing what happened to Charlie Kirk, but I might do that soon and do a video on that after I get the other. I don't remember how many I have set aside in a video in a the snippet of this conversation. I've had these tons of conversations with this AI, and it's quite fascinating. But I do worry about Tucker Carlson and Candace because this is a weapon that can be used if somebody knows you're going to be on a stage or under a tent like Charlie, and they know you're going to be speaking. They can use this, and all they need to do is find a patsy and claim he has a gun, and the story is over. So fascinating stuff. I'll continue to share with you as I find out interesting things.